Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our next live stream. I'll be your producer for this session. Before we start, I do have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional, and on topic. Keep an eye on that chat. We'll be dropping helpful links and checking for questions for our presenters to answer live. Our session is being recorded. It will be available to view on demand right here on the Reactor channel. With that, I'd love to turn it over to our speakers for today. Thank you for joining.
Hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm just having a little bit of an issue with my slideshow, but that's all right. We will get there. It's slightly not in full screen mode. So we'll just do a bit of a, no, we can't zoom in on that. We'll work on that in a second, but it's okay because we'll be throwing some code samples shortly. Hi, lovely to be here with you today. I'm Renee Noble, Senior Developer Advocate for GitHub. I'm joined today by Dave Glover as well. I'm joining you from the Darg land. And sorry, I've lost all my notes as well. Oh, computers are great. But yes, very excited to be here today. Welcome, Dave. We don't have Aaron here either today. We have Dave coming in for the second half of this course. You want to intro yourself, Dave?
Yeah, hi. Like Renee, I'm based here in Sydney, Australia. Have been around for Microsoft probably forever. And we're fundamentally the same team. That I work in the AI team. And software developer, AI kind of person. Yep.
Amazing. Thanks, Dave. And Dave will be in the chat today to pick up any of your questions and throw them out to me. My only question is, why do computers not like me? And this worked last Friday when we did, and I didn't do any PowerPoint presentations since then. Here we go. This will have to do for our PowerPoint presentation needs for today. There we go. We've worked something out. Very excited to get started. We are here for episode 3 of our GitHub Copilot CLI hands-on series, AI skills for automating repeatable work. What that's going to mean is we're going to be talking about skills today. Not just the skills that you have as a person, but making skills that you can give to Copilot and to Copilot agents. If you didn't come along for episodes 1 and 2, don't worry. You'll be sure to keep up, I'm sure, and you can go back and watch them anytime. What we covered in episode 1 was just how to get started, how to reference specific files and folders while you're using Copilot. And then in episode 2, we looked at some essential developer workflows, as well as getting started with agents in Copilot as well. And we'll talk a little bit more about that today because we are talking about skills, and something you can give skills to is agents. So you will get a little bit of a glimpse at agents there as well if you missed out on that. But of course, go back, have a watch, and you can go back and do the course material for chapters 1 to 4, as well as chapter 0 if you haven't done that, to get set up already to be able to follow along. That takes you through how to get access to Copilot and use it in your terminal. So yeah, that's all you need to get up to date to where we are now. So today's episode, as I said, is about automating repetitive tasks. We're going to be talking about AI skills and how they work. What's the difference between agents, skills, and MCP servers? Creating your own custom skills, and how to find, share, and collaborate on skills, whether that's with the community or within your own workplace. So let's get started with AI skills. What are they? How do they work? So we have a couple of the pictures that we have from our lovely course, and I have lost all of my speaker slides because of my issues with the screen, which is slightly annoying. 1 second. I'm just going to fix that somehow now, hopefully, and then we will, we've got an option. We're all good. Okay. 2 seconds, everybody. While I fix that, Dave, do you have any thoughts on skills? So we don't leave everyone hanging for the moment. Are you using many skills in your workflows?
Look, I'll be upfront. I've only just, because they're pretty fresh. So I'm using the default skills that kind of ship as part of Visual Studio Code. There are a whole lot of skills in there around GitHub and Copilot usage and just general GitHub usage. So I've started looking at them, and I think they're really useful, particularly kind of, as you said, around making things repeatable. So you've got a team, you want to all have the same sort of skills. For example, you want to go and say, hey, look, when I want to go and run this agent, I want to do a code review or do a security review, and I want to do it to the kind of the same standard across the board, so everyone's doing the same kind of standard. So
Yeah.
that's kind of why I thought it was pretty neat around skills.
Amazing. Yes. Similarly, I have written some skills myself, but I think there's still like a lot that we can do. And it's really like getting into thinking about how do we use skills in our everyday life, that I'm like in our personal lives. And it's like, oh, everything is a skill, actually. That's how we go about our day jobs. I'm trying to like think about that. Here we go. We're back on, everybody. I think there's a lot that we can do with skills. That's super exciting. So what we mean when we're talking about skills, okay, here we go. We kind of have our analogy, our real world analogy that we'd like to have throughout our course. We are looking at chapter 5 today, if you're following along in the course. And when it comes to any job, we need the right set of tools to do a good job and do it well and fast. Tools today, like in our day-to-day life, might be an actual tool like a drill like this, and it might have lots of modular bits, like all of our drill bits, which are designed for specific tasks to get the right effect that we need for the job at hand. But there's a lot of other things that you might not realize are tools that you use in your everyday life or your work life that make our jobs and our work easier. Something as simple as a checklist that helps you remember all the steps of things to do, or something like a recipe or instructions on how to like assemble some IKEA furniture or how to use a drill safely. These are all things that you may rely on as part of your work. As Dave was saying, we have like processes within our developer roles that we want to ensure that everyone across the team is doing the same way. And that is a skill of sorts to pick up how to do that. There's a lot of places that tools come to hand. I like run a meetup, and I'd love to make a tool that is a speaker checklist. So that way everyone gets tech checked the same way, regardless of who does the tech check. And that way, when the meetup runs, we know everyone knows how to hold a microphone in front of their face, which is a really important thing, but a thing you often forget to do. So that's a skill that I'd love to create for the real world. But that makes me think about all of the skills and checklists and different processes we have in our developer lives that make life a lot easier. And I think those are often really captured well in developer world, as opposed to our physical world, which we're kind of like, oh, that's such common sense. We can easily do that. So let's jump to have a look at some code. That's this one. Oh, so to have a look at some of the skills that we've given you as part of the course, you can go into the panel here, and you can look in the folder called skills. And we've given you a couple of ones: code checklist, commit message, PyTest gen. So this is what they look like. There'll be a folder, and inside that folder, there'll be something called skill.md. And just in Markdown, we can write out the skill really simply and help us not only describe what it's going to be used for, but also how we expect to receive our output. So to talk through this, and this will be a lot like the agents as well, but I think it's even more important with the skills. So we've got, of course, the name of the skill. And when we are in Copilot CLI, we can do /code checklist if we want to be able to use this skill. But it can also be automatically invoked by Copilot CLI or an agent that we give access to this skill. So to make sure that it gets invoked at a good time, we need to give it a really good description. So this one says team code quality checklist used for checking Python code quality, bugs, security issues, and best practices. So that's going to be picked up by the model as we add it. It is in this project, which we will have given access to through terminal to use Copilot. It will see that description and be like, cool, I've got that noted. If I need to do some code quality checking, I'll go and use that skill. So that's super handy to have. And then we just need to write down in normal, like very human readable language. In fact, we can render this markdown to make it even more human readable. We can see the different steps that we have. We could have this as a human checklist, but we can also write it so that is now usable by Copilot as well, and show the output format that we need as well. So that's really handy. And when we've used this in previous episodes, well, we haven't actually directly invoked it, but it has happened when we say, hey, we want to review some code. We will have seen things that say pass or fail in square brackets. So it looks exactly like this. So
one of the things, I don't know if this is a good time to pop in, but
yeah, please
we
do.
were just talking about this beforehand. Use tools like ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini can often be really quite useful. You say, hey, look, I'm writing this tool. I've written it. Where do you think the strengths and weaknesses are of this tool or this guidance for the agent? And often you'll get some really insightful information just by using some of the tools that we kind of have at our disposal nowadays. So I use that for prompts when I'm doing prompts or system prompts, agent prompts, and no reason why you can't be using it for skills as well.
Yeah, I guess anything that you create, it's always good to test that with the user. And in this case, the user is Copilot, and it can tell you essentially how it perceives it and like what it's going to be able to do with it. And it might be like, I don't really know what to do with this because it's not got a very good description potentially. So having, like when I have created skills, and like it's often like I kind of stream of consciousness, be like, here are all the things I want to get down. I'll show you one of the skills I made later. But just like to capture that and then have it like written out in ways that will be picked up well in terms of in the context of when it's being used by Copilot is really helpful. And something that Copilot can also help you with. So you could be using Copilot to write your skills to help Copilot help you do whatever task you're trying to do. So it all loops back around. Yeah, cool. So we've had a quick look at this skill here, and they all look much the same with this YAML format up the top with that description and the name, and then the different format that you can have down here, and having it be both human readable, but also like having these headings is really helpful. So you can look at it if you submit it to Awesome Copilot to be added to the community. So when Aaron reviews it, he can read it, but also for giving that structure and that extra context that kind of gives it an order, and that like these parts are part of the description and this is part of the output. Here are the examples. That kind of gives it a bit more shape, which also kind of gets factored into how Copilot can use it. So yeah, those are some tips about what a skill is. And yeah, a lot of the time, I think when people are new to skills or agents, they go, oh, I wouldn't know how to write a skill or a tool, or I wouldn't know how to write an agent. But it turns out you do, because you just kind of write it in English and then you can pop it in. You don't have to code a skill, but you can code a skill, which I'll talk a little bit about in a minute.
So as a question that came up, does it matter if we use brackets or bullet points in the markdown? And no, it's just really kind of the style that you want to use. If you want to have a tick list, or whatever it is, then use that as a kind of an example to the model. You want to use bullet points or however you want to go and put it in that markdown, and it's going to basically match to that format.
Yeah, absolutely. And like it's really useful to put examples in your skills. So if you want a format for how something is going to look, then I'd definitely be using brackets and whatnot that you need for what you want it to look like. If you were creating a template skill, for instance, or a generator for some tests. But you could also in the same one have dot points or a numbered checklist or headings or all of the above to really kind of give it the most information in the most easy and like not compact, but like way that's going to convey it easily without giving too much extra, and like having it concise, I think is the best way to go. Okay, let's jump back to my slides, which are over here. Cool. So what can a skill be is another question. Because we've talked about there being some checklists, like that code quality checklist. And we looked, there was a commit message one. There was, just a couple in that where we've provided. You can go and read, but there can actually be a whole bunch of things. So it can be something that is just human readable language like checklists or maybe a knowledge base. But they can also be templates for generating tests, for instance, or maybe you have like a base project template that you use for every time you start a new app, something like that. There could also be processes and rules for how to make decisions. So this could be like a decision tree almost for following. If this is the case, do that. If that's the case, do that. And you could use that, skill in a lot of different scenarios, whether it's code generation or test generation or quality reviewing, whatever you may have those rules and decision flows around. Something that I really like is scripts and being able to, just run scripts as part of the process. So I might create some code, some tools of my own that I'm like, oh, it's really helpful if I run this. But what it would be more helpful is that when it is needed as part of this greater workflow, it gets run automatically by an agent. One of the things that I've created for, not for this course writing, but for the next course that I'm writing as part of the Copilot SDK course, is there's a bunch of images in the courses. Some of them are generated with AI. And however we get the images, it's really great if they can be cropped and things to the right size. So having something that can potentially look if there is a need for an AI generated image and make sure it is cropped to the correct size when it gets put in is great. Because if we're going to be generating images, I don't want to be the one who's doing the grunt work of cropping out the white space so that it doesn't have all this extra white junk around it. And as part of that, we also make sure that any AI generated images are not falling into the biases of AI. So we have some of that text and dot points being like, make sure the style of the image is like this. Make sure that we actually look like a group of developers rather than everyone is in a suit as part of the processes. And then we want to make sure we run this Python app that makes sure that it looks correct and doesn't have all this extra white junk around it. So we have a lot of processes that can all run as part of that. So you can have any of these as combinations of the above. And those combinations can even include requesting user input when you might need to provide some information as well as part of that decision, which is pretty cool. So how do these skills act? Oh, yes. Thanks, Dave.
It was just a question there about VS Code finding skills. In fact, I just did a quick look up to see how it works. And it's in the same location, folder location. Yes, VS Code now will just go off and hunt for skills. You can also download packages. So we can talk about packages in a bit. I think you probably
plugins at the end.
Plugins, not packages.
Yeah, that is in the course, which I haven't used heaps of. So I've been trying to experiment with a little bit today as well. But yeah, we'll talk about that at the end when we talk about getting community skills as well. But yeah, for now, we will talk about how you can use a skill and we will use one together. But how a skill actually gets used is it's invoked either intentionally by you with a / command, but most likely you're going to write some sort of prompt or you're going to be using an agent that you send off to do some sort of review, and it's going to choose to do that itself. So to get started, let's actually go and use a skill as part of this. So let us jump into, let's get a new window over here. Jump over here. Cool. And we are already inside Copilot here. So let's just quit. So just make sure I bring everyone up to speed. Just to get started, we just write Copilot. We are in my Copilot for Beginners course. We can see there. And then because I've already said yes to this, I need to give it permission to access this folder and also to store stuff on my device. And then to get started, let us check books against our quality checklist, see what it does. So as part of this process, it's going to look at this and check, quality checklist. I definitely have some context about that from my skills. Those skills could be either as part of this project or skills that I have on my, as a user on my machine. So there's kind of two levels you can store skills at, either that level or kind of in your user directory in your .github or .claude or whatnot, different folders that you can add them there too. and then they'll be available across all of your projects. So it's gone through and run a quality assurance test. And we can see, as we knew it would, we'd have all these passes, all these fails for these different sections that it was testing through, which will match all the different things it wanted to test against. For instance, the first thing on the list is always that we have type hints that are working and that are on all of the different functions. So yeah, that one's passing. And I think that's possibly passing because of what we did in episode 2, where we generated type hints for everything, which was great. So now my local has type hints, which is possibly different to yours now, if you've just downloaded today and haven't done what we did last week on Friday. But we can see it's done a bunch of things. But how do we know what it did? Did it use this skill? Because we do know that Copilot of itself would have some thoughts on like how to assess a project, but it won't necessarily have organized thoughts and have the same thoughts that you might want to have in terms of how you want to go and make sure your thing is working. So what we do, or we can do, is like ask, what skills did you use for that response? So this is helpful because it will go and tell you, hey, what have you done? Okay, cool. We use the code quality skill. So we've used the one called code checklist skill, which is a project level skill, because we saw that in our skill folder that we just looked at, that you'll have as well. And it goes through and tests for these different things and defines the output. So that is how we got that to work. And we didn't have to ask for it to be used at all. It just went ahead and did it and then processed that into that output format. So just as we're seeing here, we have the prompt, then we will ask it for a code review, or it will be like, hey, I know that I have something called code review in here. I'm going to use that. I'm going to assess against all the metrics, and then I will put the output in the format that it requested. We can also then request this manually if we just wanted to say, what are you called? Let's run the generate tests. So if I do the / command, hopefully it turns up. Yes, it's called pytest-gen. That's the name of the thing. And we can just hit, we need to, there we go, pytest-gen, make tests for the auth module. And then it can go ahead and we can just do that specifically rather than like hoping that it figures out that we should use pytest-gen. Yeah, which is really helpful if you firstly want to test your skill to make sure it works before you roll it out to your whole team. But also if you're like, yep, I just want to do this one task rather than do a bunch of other tasks. Let's say we want to create a sample auth module plus test. That'll do. I probably should have gone for the generate for the existing module, but that's fine. It's going to go ahead and do that for us. And we can come back and have a look at that later. But through that process, we've gone through and said, use this. As I say, here we go. It's bringing it all up already. You can see we've got auth out, which is now generated for me, which I probably shouldn't have got it to do that, but that's fine. We can have that. And it will also go and generate tests for that as well. I think it thinks I might be writing the course at this point to deliver you additional stuff because I did use Copilot CLI for writing some of the course. So it might be like, oh, you love to use me to write the course rather than to show the course or to do the course. But that context always matters. But yes, we can see it's generated a bunch of tests here that we are going to follow that methodology described in that skill. So we can have them as well. We could always say, if we want to do something differently and like add more tests or add more tests about these specific use cases. Yeah. We're just gonna, yes, and it wants to run the tests as well. We can run the tests. You can have run tests as a treat, Copilot. Okay, so we've got that going on, and it, has a process for how it wants to do that. But what we can also do, because we are just using the default Copilot mode, I'm going to say, rather than an agent. And as we discussed last week on Friday, you can Also give agents tools. So let's go and have a quick look at one of the agent files, which are not that one. They are in GitHub. Cool. Let's go and look at Python reviewer.agent. So we have the tools up here, and we could be including one of our skills as a tool in here. So tools pertain to a few different things, but one of them can include skills. They can include MCP servers. They can include a bunch of different things that you could have defined that are available as functions to be used by the agent. So by putting something in here, we can say, yes, you can use the skill. Conversely, if you're like, oh, we've got this skill, but it absolutely cannot have any edit access to something, you can also use another line in here. Instead of having tools, you can have disallowed tools, and you could say no edit access for you, which is also an option. But yes, for a quick look at the agents, they look fairly similar to our skills if you missed it last week, but they are more descriptive of a persona, kind of, so you can switch from your Clark Kent mode to your Superman mode, and they have different priorities for what they're doing today in their day job. Cool. Let us jump along to what's the difference between agent skills and MCP servers. Do we have any more questions on that, Dave, before we move along?
No, I've been keeping that. No, we're good.
Dave keeps us up to date, and we love that. Cool. So for this, we've got 3 different things. We talked about agents on Friday. We've talked about skills today, and we're going to be talking about MCP servers again with Dave on Friday. So what are the differences, though? Because we just did look at agents and skills, and they were both just sitting in Markdown. So agents applies that reasoning and pattern and specific domain knowledge. So it's kind of narrowed in to do specific tasks and a selected goal that you can then specifically opt into when you have a specific thing that you want to do. So your agent might act as a front-end expert, and you might activate that agent when you want to do an front-end review, and it might have specific tools, whether that's for assessing, accessibility in the front end, or, there's an integration with Figma and comparing that to a design. There's a bunch of different things you could do there that would be specific to that persona. So that's where our agents sit, and they can have tools and things like skills. So skills can be task-specific functions and checklists. They might be applicable to multiple agents or just generally for your normal Copilot CLI experience. It's about kind of getting these consistent results with recall. As if you were working in a team, you might have, hey, this is what we do before we create a PR or something like that, as Dave was saying earlier, for having those team-wide results and those consistent ways that we work, especially as developers. So you might have a template for generating tests or a function for converting image types. So one might be a checklist, one might be a script that you run, and different things like that. Finally, MCP servers, which we'll talk more about on Friday, are a way to connect to a live data source from an external source, or you could create your own internal MCP servers as well. It's a way to provide that data and that connection, as well as the context needed by Copilot to be able to understand and leverage that in the right circumstances. So much like the skills, they can be used when in the agentic loop of Copilot, when it's needed to pull in that data, when it's needed to use that skill. So we don't have to architect what order that happens in. That's kind of what's handled by Copilot CLI to work out how to slot all these things together to get to the end goal of the prompt that you've provided or the plan that you're working through. So things that we'll talk about are things like GitHub Issues MCP server. There's one for databases or file systems, and one's for accessing docs, so you can have the most up-to-date system, how you want to developer processes and stuff to make sure your code is best practices. So those are kind of our 3 differentiated points there. Do you have any thoughts on how they fit together, Dave, that you think are worth noting?
No, but there was something that when I was reading through the content, I realized that skills are really super useful, because I'm actually, and probably most people watching this, are using skills. They probably just don't know it. You're probably typing in if you're inside VS Code or something like, you're saying, go review this code. I want you to go and do a security check. I want to go and check for memory leaks or whatever it might be. You might have a whole set of things that you're typing in all the time. And of course, at some point, because we're human, we're probably going to forget one of those things and we're going to be long. So we're going to be quite inconsistent. So that's why I really thought the skills are really quite cool, is that you can codify it. And that to me was like, okay, that was kind of like my aha moment, where I'm actually effectively doing skills now, but it's probably a bit random. Whereas putting them into these skills just makes it part of the overall process, part of my development cycle.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, the things that you can be like, these are the things I would think about during my workday, and I could write those down both for me, but also to use with Copilot and to share with other people. So one that I've created is essentially a skill or an agent you could have either way for when I've created a new course, making sure it fits into this like structure and the like tone and things of other for beginners courses that we've delivered through Microsoft, just to make sure that people know like they're getting kind of the same experience, whether they're doing for beginners for Python or for beginners for Copilot CLI or for beginners for whatever it is. You kind of want them to be similar and have the same structure. So it's like, okay, well, we need to kind of change the order of this so it fits better together. That's like nice to not have to go and read a full other workshop or a full other course to get that perspective. So that's super handy for me. All right, cool. Let us create some custom skills then. So we've already had a look at some of the skills and we're like, okay, that's not too hard to write one of those. So let's get on with that from the course. We can have a look in the materials that are provided, and we can just copy and paste some of that stuff in, and we can talk through what that's going to look like. So that is down in the creating custom skills section. I'm just going to actually pop this over here. And we'll get rid of Copilot, this Copilot. Got enough Copilots going on. There we go. Okay. So creating custom skills, we could start, like there's a few options to how we can go about adding the skill, but for simplicity and being able to look at it, I'm going to pop them in here into our skills folder that we looked at earlier. Where did you go? There you are. Cool. So the skill structure is we need to have that skill name, and then inside that we have our skill.md. You can have more stuff like an example. Super good to have examples if you want to be like, oh, and this compares correctly to this. And you might have scripts as well to either validate your output or to run as part of your process. There are both options you could include in that. So let's start by copying and pasting this skill in, and that's going to give us a, we already have this, what are you? You're the code quality checklist. I would like the security one. Here we go. So our security audit here. So we could do this in the terminal, or I'm just going to pop it in here because it's a better visual. But basically, we just got to get this markdown into here. So I'm going to create a new folder in here, new folder, and you are called security audit. And then copy this across. We're going to need to make our skill.md file as well in here. Skill.md. And great, we've got a skill here, which is terrific. And now let's go across to our terminal. And I'm going to see if it actually just turns up like this. So we can just do skills, list, and then hopefully, what was that?
You might need to do a reload.
I might need to do a reload of, yeah. Can I do /reload within here? Is that a
just
thing?
Just do skill/reload.
Skill/reload. Thanks, Dave. Reload. Is this an option? Let's find it. I don't know if that one is that the go, Dave? With the just reload, I'm like, it doesn't autocomplete. So oh no, it is. It is there.
It is just reload. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Less feedback than I would have expected. So here, so this is a lot of output from some of these. It's not showing up yet. Interesting. Well, no harm in saying, where is my, what do we call it? Security audit.
Yep.
And see what it thinks. Meanwhile, we'll make sure that it's all hunky-dory over here.
Did you have a YAML at the top of that file?
I didn't have a YAML, did I? No, I thought maybe I didn't copy the YAML. There it is here.
We did, yep.
Interesting.
What did Copilot say?
Yes, back to Copilot. It wants to do things. Very important to let it do things, otherwise it's not going to get anywhere. Yeah, because we see these ones.
So get it to create one.
Yeah, let's create one. Okay, cool. So we want to make a new file. Did we already call? Are we in the wrong? So it's looking in .github, not in skills. So it might be having a little trouble from that perspective because we didn't put it in .github. We put it in this file here. Now let's go on an adventure. We've got skills up here as well. Let us, I think that, yeah, we're going to move it up there. I think maybe these ones are for your looking purposes, but we actually need to put it up the top. And maybe if I'd followed the instructions as per the course, I wouldn't be in this situation. But that's okay. We're here together.
In the skills folder.
Here we go. Yep, thank you, Dave. Yep. Beautiful. Okay, fingers crossed, everybody. We're going to go reload again. That's not the one. We got a lot of windows for this course. Okay. Flash skills, reload, fingers crossed.
9, that's found it.
Excellent, we've done it.
So do a list.
Okay.
Yep.
Skills, yes. We get that skills list. And here we go. And our security audit is now available. Let's security audit the book. .py file. I think it's called book, hopefully. I'll get it. Add an at. No, actually, well, it'll figure it out. I do enjoy how my occasional spelling mistakes are fixed by Copilot being like, don't worry, I got your back on this one, which is nice. So that's now running through. Excellent. We've added a skill. So not too hard. Once you follow the instructions that you edited and you remember how to do that, then it's all okay, everybody. So now you've seen me fail a little bit live on the internet. Now you cannot have to do that, and it's great. Hey, cool. So that's all happening, and that's terrific. So we've created a custom skill. Let's see, go pop back to the course for any other hot tips here. So that's our skill there. Yeah, so I think mostly the rest of this is about writing good descriptions and just, describing what it's applicable for is really the most important stuff to do here. So it can be like, oh, yes, I would use it in these cases. So including specific things like SQL injection or XSS or authentication. So that way it goes, oh, okay, if I'm checking this, like doing a security audit, I should check the authentication file, for instance. So that way, can you draw the dots, like connect the dots between different things, which will make it do a better job. So the more you provide up front, the less you have to repeat later, whether that's in giving an extra instructions or repeating the whole security test because it didn't apply to anything or it wasn't up to purpose. So it's super, helpful to be able to do that. And we already looked earlier at how we can combine agents and skills. So we're ahead of the curve on this part of the course. So that has been one example of a skill. I'll do a quick show of the other skill that I made for our course image generation and things, because this one is an example of how you can have both that text-based aspect of it. I'll render it so you can have it for human eyes. Where is the little magnifying glass one? Maybe we shan't render it. That's okay. I don't know where my magnifying glass option's gone. That's okay. We've got a bunch of description about like what is this for, but also kind of giving it a bit of like an idea about like the purpose of it, what it's here for. And it's got a bunch of different things in terms of the style, diversity, and what things should look like. But also it throws out to different actual scripts that we have around here. So we can include things like running shell scripts as part of your skill. And then on my computer, I also have these generate image files. Oh, cool. It's taking me to it. No, it's taking me to somewhere else. Interesting. But yeah, we can then throw out to other things that you've created, which is really interesting, I think. And that's my kind of favorite kind of skill at the moment, because I think that's super useful to be able to kind of combine that like workflow and business logic that you're already doing. But like, oh, first I'd do this, I'd make sure this was this way, and then I'd test it or run this other command that I'd always use, and you can delegate that task out. So yeah, that's pretty cool. All right.
Renee, there's a question came up, which was, can you have skills at the user level? So you can have skills at a project level or at a kind of OS level, so Mac OS,
Yeah.
Windows, or Linux. You can have skills at both levels. The other question is, can you write a skill wrongly or incorrectly? And just so you know, I've posted a link in the chat, which if you go search for use agent skills in VS Code, you'll find a really good description in there of all the valid fields and formats and data types that you can put into a skills file. So you might want to. So if you just go into there and just go search use agents in VS Code. Just bring that up in a browser.
Cool. That's for me, not for everyone else on the line. I shall get us a browser. Okay. Use agents VS Code
skills. Yep. That's probably that one. Yep. And scroll down through there and you'll find the schema. So keep on going a bit further down, and then you'll kind of get down into the markdown and the areas and field types and body and what it should look like and things like that.
Yeah, cool. All right. So yeah, we've got a few different things. Of course, we've got the descriptions, shapes here, and then some of those tags, as we said, to disabling or enabling features. Here we go. We can have some examples. And we have those combinations again of like running some scripts as well as some best practices and creating tests, dot points happening here. So yeah, we've got a lot of cool stuff in here. So I haven't seen this stuff before, but this is really nice. Thanks for this one, Dave.
And on the Unit 5, the automated repetitive tasks, you go down through there and there's a bit of information there about what properties are required and which one's optional and things like that. And there's a link off to about agent skills, the official docs. So
yes,
find that.
excellent. Yes, we've got that in the course. Here we are in chapter 5. I assume it's in our resources right at the end.
It's just just before creating your first skill. If you just go F5, Command 5, and creating your first skill.
Here.
Just above there. Yeah, so just scroll up a little bit on that and you'll see that there's a bit of information there about YAML properties and things like that.
Yes, absolutely. Cool. Yes. Of course, go ahead and do the whole of the course because we're not going to do it all on the stream because it would take a bit too much time. We are getting to go on some extra adventures today, which is nice. But we're only doing we're only doing one chapter today, as opposed to the previous episodes where we did 2 chapters. So this one I get to breathe a lot more, and it's great. But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on here and like examples of skills you can do. But if you want more examples of skills, that's coming up in the next section about finding skills in managing skills with the community and things. Okay, so let's jump across to that section, I reckon, to find, share, and collaborate on skills. So for this part, I'm going to jump onto Awesome Copilot. I should note that we are doing the course. There's 2 versions of the course. It's the same course, but it's in 2 locations. We are on Awesome Copilot here. And I'm going to just duplicate myself a tab. I'm going to go to home for Awesome Copilot. And we did have a look at this on Friday with Aaron. Aaron, our owner of Awesome Copilot, which is very exciting. So if you submit something, you will make Aaron read it before it goes on here. So that's a benefit if you want to do that. But we can see there's a bunch of different things on here, which is how to look at agents last time, but we can have a look at skills as well here, as well as the course that you can access on here, which is also available on GitHub. So we can get a bunch of skills on here. So if you wanted some tips on Python, maybe there's something that we could jump into and grab the skill if we didn't want to have to write our own Python reviewer, for instance. This might be something that you want to have a look at potentially and get a skill in here. So let's get a Python MCP server generator as the one that we want to install today. So we can have a look at this on GitHub to see what this looks like as well. So you can actually get all the full code here, and we can pop into here and to read it. We can also actually see this, like it's nice to read in here because it's just fully rendered. If you're like, I don't want to go to another tab, Renee, that's too much, then we can also see that by clicking on here, and we can see all of the code just in this module here, which is great. The modal, you can render it, etc. You can download it, and you can share the link as well, which is great. If you're like, this is our company-wide Python MCP server generator now, everyone can go and download and share this. So that'd be great. We could either very easily just add this as we added the custom skill earlier. But let's also have a look at how we can use the extension to get the plugins through Copilot CLI. So this one I'm still working out a little bit. So we're gonna work out this a little bit live. So fingers crossed, it is working for me on this go here, because we can go skills, and I'm hoping that my marketplace has worked. So I can do skills add. And this is from before. Let's just give a little bit of a clear slate so we can see what we're doing. So clear will actually get rid of our session info mostly. There is another option for condensing your session by so not getting rid of all the context by writing new, but we don't need to keep that stuff. Yes, here we go. So we need to do /skills directory. So I can go and get that one from here. Let's go split screen and grab, hopefully we can do /skills add, and we're going to give it this. I'm going to cross our fingers and hope that I've done this right. Or we could also do skills add at the location on our machine to kind of register that skill if it isn't maybe in that skills folder, or is it not in your at user level skills folder as well. Okay, no, this is not a directory on my computer. Okay, how do I use the marketplace is my question to get the thing.
I think you do it as a plugin, don't you?
Yeah, no, that's right. There is skills plugin. Is that correct? Or no, it's /plugin, sorry.
I think it's /plugin.
There are a lot of / commands to remember. And then install. And then we can provide a link. I'm hoping.
A plugin. I think it's a plugin name. So I hope to confess I'm not.
Okay, cool. Let's get this guy. And hopefully I did try and install the Azure, the Copilot, Awesome Copilot Marketplace earlier today. So we'll have to see if this is going to work, because you can install different marketplaces in Copilot CLI. So it's not all Awesome Copilot. You can go to other ones, but why would you? Because Aaron's so nice and he'll read all the things. So it's going to be good and safe and great. Okay. Invalid plugin spec. Use plugin name at marketplace. Okay, cool. We just need to know what the marketplace name is, and then we'll hopefully be all okay. So let's hopefully say at awesome-copilot, and fingers crossed that that is the correct one. Okay, let us see. Oh, something's happening.
Doing something.
It's doing a lot of things. Be able to install plugin, plugin Python MCP server not found in Marketplace Awesome Copilot. Available plugins. Let us get. That's just a lot of things. Why is it listed this many things, but not? Yeah. Okay. Let's just do. Maybe it's not a plugin. Is each individual skill a plugin? Let us go back to. Let's go back to Awesome Copilot, because it does have another option for. Let's just go to this one. This is fine. I thought there was ones for plugins specifically. We've got the copy install, which will give us a full-on terminal command, which is interesting. So that's going to look like this, which is not through Copilot CLI. So that's not my dream. I've done these ones, and that's not as fun. We're going to skip that one. And then we're going to persevere, I guess. And we're going to ask how to install from Awesome Copilot, and hope that it will tell us the answer. Yeah. Do we have any other questions in the chat while I figure this out live on air? This part is not covered in the course, I'm pretty sure. So I think I'm on my own this part a little bit.
Yeah, the only part there is how to download your own, how to download one from GitHub.
Yeah, and that's fine. We know how to do that. So we're pushing the boundaries of the course at this time. That's okay. We can go together, because we do have the extra time, because we only have one chapter today, which is great. We'll have like a chapter and a half in Friday when we talk about MCP servers, and then putting all this stuff together. But today we've got so much spare time. Okay, we can install a skill. We can interesting. So we can install it globally as well with the -G. So we're learning stuff. Let us get back how to install this one. Let us. Yeah. I'm a little lost on how to do this. I thought it was going to be easy. I knew there was plugin ways, but that's okay. We can, and I don't actually need this Copilot MCP server guy at the moment. Maybe we'll get it for Friday. But yeah, let us search for this specific skill then, and then tell it to help us install this. Help us install this skill here. And let's see what it comes up with. Okay, cool. And it's saying MPX skills. So I guess MPX is the way forward for installing skills, because that is what the examples were about, which is different than what we get with the GitHub installation command. So it seems like there's a couple of ways forward. We are going past the limits of the course. So feel free to experiment. Feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn if you've got a hot new way forward. Maybe we'll even update the course if we have a nice, simple way for it. But of course, we have the way we started with when we created our school. And we could have just copy pasted this, and that would have been fast and easy to get it into there. But we have time to fill, so why not go on an adventure?
Someone actually made a good comment, is that you can create your own marketplace as well. So I thought that's
Yes.
really, so I
Yes.
guess just within your business, or you might have a set of skills that you want to use just personally. So
Yeah, or within your own company, you might have a set of skills for like, this is how we do reviews, this is how we set up all our templates, so that you have an internal marketplace for that, which would be really helpful for being able to get access to that and make sure everyone is on the same page.
it seems to
Any
take an
other
awful long time
questions in
to,
the chat? What was that, Dave?
it's taking a long time to download.
Yeah, I should have chosen a smaller one. I should have chosen Hello World or something.
Okay, it's getting there.
We're going to have it. It's going to be great. Use, okay. The skill's now available. We've done it, everybody. Okay, cool. Let us hit that / command, and then we're going to go Python. It's not in the list. We need to reload the list.
Yeah, skills reload, I would have thought.
That's okay. We'll get there, and then we will have access to this thing, and then ask what it does. We've got 3 minutes left on our stream for anyone with a last question, you know, related to or unrelated to this like detour that we've taken into attempting to use plugins.
I think it loaded. So now I've got 10 of them. You had 9
Oh,
before.
thank you. Yes. Got distracted because everything took so long for the last part. Let's do it. Let's go with the Python skills, plural. Skills, plural. We'll just do list. Be in the list. Okay, because we just actually need to do /Python, not /skills. Okay, are you here? Oh, there are 10 skills, so it must be in this massive pile of things. So let's just do Python MCP server generator. Okay, we are going to have an MCP server now that, you know, get us ready for next
week.
Friday. Yep. Yeah, we want a book collection manager, of course. So yeah, these are the kinds of skills you can get from here on Awesome Copilot, which is exciting. Do I want to run this? I don't actually want to make an MCP server for right now. So we're just going to skip out on this for now. We're going to hit escape. And it's fine. I'll have part of a MCP server, that's fine. But looking quickly, I have seen that you can do, should be able to do plugin list. We should do plugin list Awesome Copilot. And then that should be able to show us things that are available to us, assuming I did actually manage to install this Awesome Copilot earlier. Install them. Okay, I thought I did you earlier. I don't know how this has happened. Maybe it's because I changed folders. Who knows? But this is how you can install a marketplace. You could install your own personal marketplace for your company using this plugin at marketplace domain kind of name, which is cool. So that has been our adventure into plugins for the day. Let us wrap up though, and feel free to shout out any final questions if there are in the chat, Dave. But I'll just highlight what we're going to look at on Friday. We'll be venturing into MCP servers to enable us to connect to external systems, helping us. We're going to start by trying out the built-in GitHub MCP server that comes as part of Copilot or as Copilot CLI. We're going to configure and add MCP servers, use MCP servers, and then talk about multi-server workflows. And then we're going to talk a bit about putting all this together, as we kind of talked about all the way through, with agents and skills and MCP servers all together as part of our whole kind of ecosystem within the umbrella of Copilot CLI. So that's what's coming up on Friday. Before then, feel free to do the assignment task as part of Chapter 5, and there's more hands-on activities you can do. And don't forget to sign up for the next stream. Do we have any questions before we head off, Dave?
No, I think that was it.
That's it.
I've been following them and we've been answering as we go.
Amazing. Thank you, everybody, for coming along. Thanks to Dave for joining us for this week of Copilot Adventures. And we're going to finish right on the dot this time, as opposed to the last time where we held everyone back on a Friday afternoon past 5 o'clock. That's all right. We will see you hopefully again on Friday. That's 4 p.m. Sydney time, 11:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time, and other times all around the world. We've had people join from the US and Romania and everywhere. So we hope to see you again wherever you're joining from. Thanks so much. And yeah, see you hopefully on Friday.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. Like our presenters mentioned, we do have one more session to go on Friday or Thursday morning if you are joining us from another part of the world. I left the link in the chat so you can secure your spot. You do not want to miss this next session, but do not forget to do your homework. And in case you missed any part of the session, you will be able to go back and rewatch anything you missed. You can pause, you can click, you can do whatever you want right after this session is over. So do not worry if you missed any part of the session. If you came back a little bit later, maybe it's been a couple of hours, don't worry, you can rewatch it. I have a QR code right here in the screen. If you could just give us a couple minutes of your time to scan it, give us your feedback about today's session. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you guys again on Friday or Thursday morning. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, everyone.